Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Hope you're all doing well. Give me just a second or two to make sure everything's good. So, one thing I guess I should say really quick before we get started today is going to be very short in terms of stream time. At least compared to the last few, I am only planning to do up to 150 Regice encounters, and then we're done for today. It's gonna be like this today and tomorrow, and for one, I just feel like I need a little bit of a break from this, but also just, I want to get the numbers even. It's a slight OCD kind of thing, whatever, though. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully good. It's been a bit of an interesting day for me to start off. Not really great. I had a bit of a rough start to the day, and I was going to be here earlier, and then stomach problems started messing with me partway through the day, and I thought for a second I was going to end up feeling sick and couldn't stream. Thankfully, that didn't turn out to be the case, so what do you know, we're here. I'm glad I could make it. There's been a few things that have been really interesting that happened yesterday. I mean, I say a few, it's really one thing that I saw that I found to be pretty good. I downloaded that Monster Hunter demo, and I want to talk about that. We will probably get onto that subject relatively soon and start talking about that. Maybe not right away, but I want to talk about that at some point. So we'll get into that a little later and discuss it. Anybody who's played it, I think it'll be a good time. Hey Wayne, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Your internet's fixed. That's good. I remember when I was having internet issues, and I wish it would have been easy to fix it when that was happening like a year or two ago. That was bad. Got really exciting news. Sounds good. Not really been anything fun or interesting happening for me, actually. I mean, yesterday was okay. I actually got my first on-stream victory on Tetris yesterday, so I'm actually really happy that I finally pulled off a win in Tetris 99 while I was streaming, because I never thought I'd be able to actually do it. I've tried so many times and something always goes wrong. Chat, what's up? What's the good news? I'm curious. I remember I was looking at some stuff yesterday over, like, Reddit, actually. There's been a lot of news that popped up before we go into anything else. Like, there was some stuff about Trump going on, and, it was a fucking huge shitfest of stuff, but it was also really funny. We'll talk about that. Let me see another message. Hey, Anime Traps, welcome to stream. Good to see you. Glad you could drop by. Let me see. The Monster Hunter friend. Joining the mechanics. Let's see what. Hold on a second. It's already pre-ordered. First big game I'm buying. Or you're buying this year. Yeah, I've been trying to teeter on the edge of, like, deciding if I should actually get into the series for some time, and I've never really clicked with one perfectly well. I think I kind of slowly got into it a little bit on one of the 3DS games, but I didn't really feel enough passion to actually pick up the series, so I strayed away from it. I liked, like, that other one, the Generations Ultimate thing, but I ended up finding that I was struggling a lot with one of the bosses. Like, they had the hard mode boss at the end, the expert one. There was like a beginner, intermediate, hard boss, and I could not pass the hard boss, and the more I struggled with it, the less I was inclined to pick the game up, and ended up not really getting it. And I know the games aren't too bad because you can, like, level up and get stuff, but that turned me away from the game a little bit. I've been messing around with Rise quite a bit, and I think I wasted most of my time trying to beat the medium difficulty boss, and could not get it to work for some time. And then I think it's partially because I wasn't using the right weapon, but even before I switched to my, or after I switched to my main, it was still difficult I managed to kill it after some time, but like, goddamn, the monsters they chose for that demo are fucking, or at least the intermediate one is ridiculously hard to kill. I don't know about the beginner monster because I didn't actually try to fight it too much, so I didn't really mess with it. I only did the one boss, and I couldn't really figure out how to fucking use the new wire bug thing, and I have a good idea of how to do most of it, like the healing and how to sharpen your weapons and shit, but some of it is fucking absolutely really, really difficult to work with, like, ooh, I remember I could not beat that Kitsune thing or whatever the fuck it's called for like so many attempts, and this is, I have a weapon that I've kind of found that I like in Monster Hunter after playing the demos of like each game enough, and I've realized that I can gravitate towards the hammer and use that. Even after using the hammer a few times, I still got my ass kicked several times by this thing. I gotta be honest, the fucking intermediate monster plays a lot closer to the hard mode monsters in the other demos. Like, good lord, is it challenging. It fucking has ridiculous movement patterns, and it's fucking hard to get rid of. It's genuinely really annoying. Well, let's see. Play this world on PS4. Click the... and... Addicted? Yeah, I haven't had much experience prior to Monster Hunter, just like bits and pieces. I think I played like a little bit of the demo from like 4 and X or whatever. Yeah, Generations, you know what I'm saying? And I think I may have tried a little bit of 3, but I never really played it enough to actually understand 3, so I didn't actually get into Monster Hunter for some time, even though I made an effort, and I'm kind of glad that I did over time. I think I'm okay with picking it up now, but it took me a while before I actually got interested enough to actually buy it. I mean, I'm not sure yet. I think I want to get it actually, but I just don't know. But I gotta say, for the bosses they picked, good lord, they could have probably did a little bit less on the difficulty for what's supposed to be intermediate, because that fucking monster, not only is it got some fucking crazy erratic movement patterns, but also on top of that, like, Jesus Christ, its attacks are fucking way too powerful. That fucking water spouting shit'll kill you in like a single hit. It's like, I don't really see how that's a good balance for an intermediate monster, frankly. That felt like that was a little bit on the overkill side. Whatever, though. That's my biggest concern with picking it up, actually. It's not like I don't think I'll like it, but it's more so that I'm worried I'd pick up the game and then I'll find that I don't end up enjoying doing combat with all of them, and that I'll have monsters I can't beat, and if that happens, it'll probably drive me fucking crazy and make me not want to play it. So it's like a problem of like, do I get it because I found it somewhat fun, or do I avoid it because I don't want to put up with the fucking impossibility of fighting stuff and not being able to beat it, and then feeling like I'm losing my fucking marbles in the process of trying to. Let me see. The patterns. I mean, I've gotten better at like recognizing some of the patterns, and I agree on the thing about it being close to a hard boss, but like, I gotta say that the boss was fucking overkill. It took me like probably 6 or 7 tries or more on intermediate, and I remember that I fucking didn't really get decent at the pattern until I fucking realized I could kind of like cut off the water spout attack if I closed in on him while he was using it and got like right up in his face, because he can't hit you from like that close. He can only hit you if you're far away from him. It's not like it was enough to make the fight easy, and I'm worried that's going to be a problem with like more of the series. Like, That whole monster riding thing was cool. The problem I had with that boss fight, and this is a pretty easy complaint to make, it really, really felt like that boss was designed around having other monsters like get caught in your wire bugs and using them to smack it around a bit. I didn't actually win until I managed to go up against it and get like two monsters fucking caught up in the wires and start basically attacking it with the other monsters over and over on repeat and then using them to do a ton of damage. It was only until I got a really, really good run to fucking finally kill it. And even when I got a good run, it still wasn't easy. I remember my successful attempt beating it on solo was literally, I had no heals left. I can't remember if I had one or two deaths left I could take. It might have been like I couldn't have any more and I was on the verge of dying, but I was out of heals. I didn't want to get hit by it, and both me and the monster were on our last legs. Like, the thing was fucking panting, running, and like barely able to get away from me, and I didn't have a lot of health to spare. Like, I'm not gonna say that's bad design, but it's not really the best design in my opinion to make it so that if you're playing, even if you're playing right, it's hard enough that you have to fucking be nearly dead to fucking kill the boss. It's like, maybe give the player a little more leeway to make sure they don't fucking get decimated in the process of fighting it. It's like, that's not something I love. See, can you beat a monster in a turn? Get rare and get equipment after it all. Yeah, I've heard about that. Apparently you can use like stuff from monsters to make better gear and in turn use it to help you with hunting and get like stronger shit. So seems like it'll be a little more fair because of the fact that that stuff. Also, I'm kind of confused about some of the mechanics, namely stuff like, say, the fucking sharpening. I understand how sharpening works with a lot of the tools, but since I was using the fucking hammer and go in and fight the dragon, basically, I couldn't even tell if I needed to sharpen the hammer sharpen the hammer or not. I could see where some points it did a little more damage, but I couldn't tell if it was just me thinking it was going higher, if it actually went higher, because most of them, it makes sense when you're supposed to sharpen them because of the way the weapon works. I can't see any realistic reason why you would need to sharpen a hammer, but I remember looking at the little bar and seeing it fill up when I used the sharpness thing to make it go up. I don't know. I'm still confused about some of those kind of things. Like, that's not something I feel like is completely clear. Like, maybe a chart of like what all weapons actually need the whetstone would have been kind of helpful. Really, like anything to get the basics down a little better would have been good, but I didn't really touch the fucking I shouldn't touch the tutorial any because I had like experience and I was expecting most of the new stuff to transfer over without too much issue. Weapons and degrade over time. Huh, I guess that makes a little more sense. I noticed my damage was going down a little bit. Not that it matters. I mean, hammer, in the case of like any of the weapons, is probably one of the ones where you can pretty easily ignore sharpening it, because from what I saw when I was fighting it, I was able to fucking smack it in the face and like combos of 3 usually when I got a good chance to attack it, and usually I'd get like 15, 30, and like 80 or something for my damage. And even when I had like lower sharpness, I noticed my hammer was still sitting there around like the total of like 76 damage every time it got a crit on the monster. So I'm assuming I did pretty good. Yeah, that's one thing I do think is kind of neat about it. Maybe I'll pick it up. It seems like a good game. It's kind of a lame thing that I haven't been able to get any new games this year, but whatever, not really a big deal. I'm probably going to get Monster Hunter Rise as one of my first games of the year, I think. What else is the release date again? I think it's in March of this year. Let me see. What does it say? Yeah, March 26th, according to Google, when I look it up, actually. I thought that was the case. Figures, that's right. I'm probably going to get it. I've not gotten a Monster Hunter game. I do like what I played out of Rise, and this gives me an opportunity to actually get into a series that I've been messing around with and never had the commitment to, so I think it's a good opportunity to actually try it out and see if I can get into it, since I found the demo to be enjoyable enough, and I feel like I've got enough compatibility with Monster Hunter that I can actually play it, so I wouldn't mind picking the game up and playing it. Speaking of which, I've been meaning to do a stream of the demo, but not yet. I want to do it soon. Obviously, right now my primary focus is on doing shiny hunting, so after I get Regice and hopefully Regirock, maybe we'll do like a stream or two to get through the monsters or whatever and do the online. I think it'd be fun to try and get a few people together and try to see if we can potentially get like a small group of people to play together online for the demo, because I've already played enough in the single player that I wouldn't mind. I normally like the idea of playing something like that in solo, because I feel like it's more fun and more of a challenge to fucking go up and try to fight the monsters and kill them on your own, because it's more of a testament of your skill, but I know not everybody likes that. Something I prefer to do for myself in the game is to kill monsters on my own, because it feels more natural. Yeah, Monster Hunter seems grindy, but not in the bad way from what I've seen. There's a lot of games that have that really bad grind, but Monster Hunter seems like the kind of game where, sure, it's okay to be addicted to it, but you wouldn't really want to be addicted. We're saying Monster Hunter, to me, kind of seems like a game where the appeal is that you play it a little bit, then like you'll go through and hunt some monsters for a session, turn the game off, and then probably not play it for a while, and then when you're in the mood again, you just turn the game back on and go after another monster or two or whatever, making it easy rinse and repeat loop of like being able to do this until you've cleared out the catalog of like every monster. It seems like the way that Monster Hunter's kind of meant to be played. It's not necessarily meant to be binged and played until you beat the whole thing, but more for the fact it's a good side game and gives you a lot of activity to do if you have nothing better. Like, I think I can appreciate that. That's the kind of game I actually feel like I want to have right now, because I haven't had a great game for substituting when I'm bored now, and I've mostly been playing Tetris when I'm bored, and that's not really keeping me appealed all the time, to be frank. I'm not having a bad time with it, but I mean, I'm getting a little bit tired of playing Tetris 99 all the time. Yeah, it seems like a good pick-up and play game. I can see why it was so popular on 3DS, because the fact it's very much suited towards handheld play. I can see why Capcom doesn't want to lose their handheld spot with Nintendo, despite the fact that they moved towards making it also more console accessible now. They're trying to cater to both so that they can keep the market of people who play it on handheld. And I mean, frankly, I haven't played World. I'm sure it plays good, but from what I've seen, Monster Hunter kind of looks and feels like the kind of series that's meant to be played on a handheld. That way you just get to get in a session or two, and then you can boot the game off, and you don't actually have to worry about anything else. Like, you just play a little bit, power the game down, and you're done. A lot of people like Rise more than World. I'm not surprised about that. I'm pretty sure it's probably because I think Rise is like the first Monster Hunter game, and like the Nintendo-based Monster Hunters, to be something where like they put in like a lot of accessibility options. Like, they took everything they had from World and they put it in Rise, and like, well, not everything, but they put a lot of the quality of life features into it and made it easier to play compared to other Monster Hunter games. And Monster Hunter World made it a lot easier to get into. World was supposed to be the big beginner-friendly game that dumbed things down so it wasn't so intimidating to play it, and Rise is kind of following in the footsteps of that, trying to keep it beginner-friendly, because obviously making it more difficult to play is going to scare away people, so there's no reason not to have it easier to play. I don't know, that was one thing that kept me from playing it back on 3DS and Wii U and whatever, was that I never actually figured out how the fuck to play the game, so I never actually got into it too much. You see, Rise is easier to understand than World? That's surprising. I feel like I'm still missing some aspects of Rise. I'm not having too much trouble with it. Like, I get it pretty well, but World seems like it made a lot of quality changes. Then again, I haven't really played World, so I can't really comment on how one's more accessible than the other, so I never really got to experience all that they did in it. I'll say Rise has made things really easy, but it does feel closer to the 3DS Monster Hunters than it does World. Like, that's not a bad thing, though. It feels like it's got the kind of way that like Monster Hunter like 3 and 4 did, except if it's more accessible like Monster Hunter World was, so overall that's not a bad thing. I think I played like enough of the old ones that I got a little feel for what they're like, and I do enjoy it, so I don't mind what I played. I've yet to play World to compare, because apparently World and older Monster Hunter games actually have a somewhat different playstyle. World's supposed to be a lot easier than old Monster Hunter, so I can't really completely weigh what it's like, because I don't have that experience. Hi there, welcome to the stream again. I'm fine. Good to see you. Got a new phone? That's cool. I got mine, I think I talked about it on stream already, but like, yeah, I got a new phone myself, like, not so long ago. Been using it quite some time. It's a very, very good phone. Google Pixel 5. Oh man, that'll be fun when it comes time, at least hopefully, picking up Monster Hunter Rise, and I'll probably stream that more than likely. Actually, I don't know, now that I think about it, more than anything, the biggest deterrent for me getting Monster Hunter Rise isn't me not wanting to, so much as the biggest thing that's scaring me away from potentially picking up Monster Hunter Rise is the fact there's another game that's releasing on the same day that I have possibly more interest in, and feel like might be more catered to my particular taste than Monster Hunter Rise is. There's quite a few games, I think, that are releasing on the 26th, and they're all for the Switch. I don't know if that's Nintendo doing that on purpose. I know there was, like, rumors and mention of, like, a Switch Pro, and apparently, like, a firmware leak, like, confirmed there's a new Switch model in the works, so Switch Pro might be on the way. That might be why these games are all releasing on the same day, but out of all the stuff that's really caught my attention, and something that I want more so than Monster Hunter World, I have to be completely honest. I think Balan Wonderland looks really good. That game has caught my attention ever since it got showed off at Microsoft's, like, E3 presentation. I say E3, I don't know what you'd really call it. It was the Summer Games thing, but, like, that game looks incredibly good. This is coming from somebody who never actually played a Knights game, so I don't know what Knights is like. I know Balan Wonderland is supposed to be spiritual successor to Knights, but good God, it looks fucking incredible. It looks really, really fun. It's got the kind of platforming I like in games. Good-looking 3D platformer. Reminds me of, like, a lot of the best parts of, like, Mario and Sonic stuff in 3D, and, like, yeah, I think I'm more than willing to look into the trailers and keep watching, even though I'm already kind of down to pick it up, but like, I think I'm going to pick that game up day one without question, and probably going to enjoy it, frankly. So, if I have to pick between two games when it comes time for the 26th, I am probably going to go for Balan Wonderland. Like, no offense to Monster Hunter, but this game looks fucking incredible. I've got to say, over the recent years, actually, Square Enix has been knocking it out of the park with their video games. I would say they're RPGs, but I mean, this isn't an RPG, and it looks fucking fantastic, although, yeah, a lot of their games lately have been fucking really good. I can name, like, pretty much all the Square Enix stuff that I remember playing over the past few years, and pretty much enjoying all of it. I don't think there was anything bad that I played from them recently. They did, let's see, I know I played Dragon Quest 11S, and that was good. Dragon Quest was fantastic, really, really well done, and honestly, one of their better, like, well-done projects. Like, that was something you can see all the effort they put into it. Octopath was also really, really good. So, yeah, their games have been on fire lately. That's not even talking about how everybody raves about how good Final Fantasy VII Remake is, so I can tell Square Enix knows what the hell they're doing right now, and they've been really, really making sure they put out a good game one after another, and Balan Wonderland is looking to be no exception to that. Let me see. Still waiting for Rise copy. So I guess you're not going to be getting it. It's not like it matters. I mean, or maybe you will. I don't know if you have plans for that. I'm assuming that we're going to be hearing about a Nintendo Direct soon. There's like a lot of rumors about a Nintendo Direct. I think there was like a thing on, or there was like a clearing on the Direct page, and apparently the last Pokemon Direct from like January of last year got removed. So there might be a Pokemon Direct or a Nintendo Direct coming up soon, and I could see them doing that to, like, stop confusion. I think we might be in for a, like, general Direct in, like, a few days, whether or not it's, like, on Monday or what. It's been a while since we've had a proper Direct, and I think we're overdue one. I think we might actually be seeing a new Direct that announces the Switch Pro on, like, next week, actually. Like, I genuinely think we're about to get a big Direct dedicated to a new hardware revision, alongside a bunch of stuff getting shown off to, like, try and sell us on it, and, like, probably gonna be some good stuff they've been holding off on. I bet they're, if any reason, like, more than the fact that there was the virus last year is, like, screwed up their release plans. I'm willing to bet now, after the way this leak came out, that there's a good chance that there's probably going to be, like, a big Direct talking about Switch Pro launch and all these games they could be holding back for Switch Pro, so there could be, like, quite a few things there try to advertise taking advantage of the Switch Pro. I could see there being a lot announced in a new Direct. Rise is grinding on a game like an armor set. Fun and rewarding. Yeah, I can't really blame you for wanting a game that gives you a lot of entertainment and a lot of hours. I'm not super different myself, but I think I want Balan Wonderland just because it looks like the kind of game that's right up my, fucking hiccups, right up my alley, just like how Odyssey was when it released, even though I still don't think Odyssey is the best 3D Mario game or even close to it, but, like, it was the kind of game that scratched that itch, and it was around the right time and everything, and pretty good game overall. This looks like it's going in that same direction. I'm a sucker for a really, really well done 3D platformer, because I don't feel like they're super common anymore. Oh yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get information on Mario 3D World. Even if it's not a lot, I'm sure we're gonna get like at least enough to know what the hell this Bowser's Fury thing is that they haven't told us anything about. So that's definitely something I would expect out of another Direct. I honestly think that we're going to see Breath of the Wild 2 release this year. I've had this argument with like a friend before who is convinced they're going to need another year or whatever, and that they're going to be putting more time into it. The way I see it is that I think they're probably well into development. They've had since Breath of the Wild released and longer, and they've been working on it for a long time. They just released Age of Calamity last year, and it makes sense to try and ride into a new year, or when they release a spin-off like that, with like getting the maximum amount of hype out of the spin-off and not waiting too long. If they do 2 years, the hype might die down a little bit. If they release it this year, they get all the benefit, and it probably won't happen. And this is a very, very uncertain type of thing. But I genuinely get the impression that Nintendo... Oh, excuse me. What knows? I need to find a mute button on my computer that I can work with. It won't be fucking hard to hit and won't cause me a problem remembering to unmute it. I still haven't done that yet. But like I was saying... But yeah, I think Breath of the Wild 2 could easily be a Switch Pro launch title, and they could use it as a way to try and market it in Switch 2 and try to make sure they have a hit game that sells them as like a Switch revision, especially if it's got like a lot of upgrades that make it better to play on Switch Pro. So I could see them potentially having that as a big name thing for Breath of the Wild 2. Oh, excuse my nose. My allergies have been fucking on fire today and causing me suffering and being fucking completely miserable. I've had so many problems from my allergies today. It's been fucking awful. If I end up having a point where I'm struggling to talk because of sniffing, my bad. I can't help it. It's fucking very easy for the shit to start overwhelming me. Let me see. I've got some chat messages I'm gonna catch up on in a second. There's a lot that's here that I haven't read. Ugh. Programming Deb's room. Comes to work with like PS4 Pro. Yeah, lazy. Yeah, I could see that being a thing. A single direct for 3D World. Maybe. I don't think they're gonna do a single game direct. I don't know. I would assume if we're getting a direct right now that they're gonna use it to fill out their fiscal year calendar, but then again, Nintendo likes to be the weirdos who throw out oddball stuff every year or give us like next to nothing to work with, so your guess is as good as mine on what they would put up for new releases this year and how detailed the new Direct would be. Pro like PS4 Pro. You get updating what games you own. I feel like this isn't entirely guaranteed, but I think there's a fair chance because I think it mentions something about like a higher resolution dock. It might have been a 4K dock or something that was mentioned in firmware, but like I think it's safe to assume that all the games on the system may have like resolution bumps and may generally look better with a few improvements across the system. And as far as how I'm not saying PS4 is going to say a Switch Pro is going, I'm assuming there's going to be something where they might potentially do like a boosting performance in several games, not all of them, but like I would be not surprised to see like Breath of the Wild 2 have like a CPU boost or whatever from being on Switch Pro and make it run easier on a Switch Pro, make it load faster, those kind of things that make it desirable to want to pick up a Switch Pro and have like extra features that would not be essential, but definitely a big plus to have. So I feel like that could actually happen. It would be similar to the new 3DS, only I would imagine if they did a Switch Pro, they'd probably utilize it more than new 3DS did. Then again, who knows exactly what the fuck they're planning, so it's anybody's guess. I just hope that they actually are planning this soon, that they fucking hopefully fix the fucking Joy-Con drift problem, because God knows they need to fucking get it under control and fucking make Joy-Cons actually work as intended instead of fucking being defective pieces of shit that don't even do their job correctly. Like, it's actually embarrassing how bad the Joy-Cons are. It really is just trash to your hardware that it's actually laughable how they managed to sell the Switch for this long and haven't been in serious legal trouble over the Joy-Cons yet. I don't know how they managed to get away with it, but whatever. Hold on a second. Ugh. New Switch Pro. I don't know what the fuck they would do for the name. That'd be probably not a good name choice. I hope they do something smart and not stupid that's easy to understand, but at this point I don't even really give too much of a shit. I wish they would fucking do things correctly instead of choosing dumb names. I don't know why Nintendo thinks the word new is some buzzword that everybody's going to love just because it's not a proper word in Japanese. Nintendo is very, very dense as a company sometimes. The sad part about what you just said is it's completely true, is that people are more than stupid enough and willing enough to overlook the Joy-Con drift, even though there's a lot of people who will complain and make enough of a riot about it. Like, all the mindless sheep out there that'll stop giving a shit about the problem outnumber the sensible people that actually want the hardware defect to be fixed, and as a result, Nintendo never does fucking anything. It's pretty funny how they normally care about their quality of their products, but like, when it comes to the Switch, nah, they won't fucking go out of their way or do anything to fix the fucking Joy-Con drift. Instead, they're actively trying to battle lawsuits, trying to undermine the entire issue and trying to pretend like it's not as severe as it actually is. I genuinely fucking hate the way Nintendo's been acting this gen, where they're acting like they're a lot more smug and overconfident about their decisions, like they know everything they're doing perfectly and nothing the consumers tell them actually matters, like how Joy-Con drift should be fixed, or they don't seem to give a shit about what we think about certain feedback, like Splatoon 2 with the Salmon Run stuff. That's been pretty bad how little they listen to the community with the Switch, frankly. It's been not the best interaction. Sure, there's some stuff that's okay, like Smash has been worked over to like a point where it's not terrible, but there's been a lot of problems that have cropped up too. It took a long time to get like button binding and arms, so that's another thing I remember, because nobody liked how the shield button was, and it was a really, really awkward control setup. I think I'm gonna grab a bit of water in a second. I wouldn't normally go AFK so quickly, but since I'm having a lot of allergy problems right now and kind of fighting back the allergies, I think I need a little bit of water just to help me out. I'm trying to make sure I'm not getting sick. Today's been a fucking nasty day for how good I've been feeling. Stomach problems, fucking problems with allergies. I hope I'm not coming down with some shit, because I am a little bit concerned after how today's gone. Ugh. Yeah, let me just go grab a water bottle out of my fridge. I need a moment to get something to get a bit of hydration. Maybe that'll help me with my nose a little bit if I drink more. Because I need to do something about getting hydrated. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if that'll help too much, but that certainly made me feel a lot more refreshed getting water, so this should hopefully make me feel at least a little better. Okay. I got a few things that I still really want to talk about that I haven't even really started discussing yet. There was something that I mentioned earlier. I guess we'll start with the obvious thing. I'm not going to say a whole lot because I talked about it yesterday, but I feel like this is a good point for discussion, and I only discussed this with a few people already, so I kind of want to get a chance to hear other thoughts on it. So, this is a very, very simple thing over past few days, yeah. So I was just going to bring this up since it's relevant. How's everyone's thoughts on the whole situation regarding Twitch right now and PogChamp? I'm curious to hear what everybody thinks about that. I had to, like, double-check the info on this a little bit. It's not, like, too much. Jeez, my throat's acting up a little bit. But, yeah. Apparently the guy who was, like, the face of PogChamp and had, like, been supporting the, like, rating, like, the, you'd call it, I guess ratings already had the shit going on with the Capitol building and was, like, making posts encouraging it and talking about how he thought it was good or whatever, and Twitch got upset with it and ended up like banning him off the platform and removing his emote. And for anybody who's not in the know, it was all about like Trump been citing a bunch of rioters to raid the Capitol building and basically cause a fucking scene. It ended up with like a lot of crazy shit going down. I'm not gonna talk about the whole thing because it's a fucking lot of stuff that's going on right now, and fucking, oh my god, the after effects are both kind of creepy and also kind of hilarious in a weird way. Like, it's a fucking shitstorm. Hold on a second. Then look into it. Even going on. I'm surprised you haven't heard about it, but I mean, I would assume you've at least heard about the whole raid thing that happened prior with all the crazy Trump supporters earlier. That's something that I find really funny how all this is happening. I remember I was mentioning this earlier and I was going to bring it up like, basically like, Trump's Twitter got shut down and fucking, like I saw like a bunch of subreddits about like Trump get shut down. Also, just like, it seems like he's being shut out of social media. He's already got like a worsened reputation, and he's more than likely going to face like fucking, he's more than likely face fucking charges for inciting a riot, even though he did try to calm it down, but after it was already way too late in the first place. And like, it's funny how the tables are finally turning on him, and like right before his presidency is like nearly up. Like, Trump was an awful president who caused a lot of problems, and I'm glad his presidency is over. I'm messing up on the counter, but if I am, whatever, not really a big deal. Anyway, like I was saying, yeah, he was an awful president who caused a lot of problems, and funny how like right when his presidency is fucking up, he's ending up losing everything. His Twitter got permanently banned. Any of his like Reddit presence is gone, and he's also looking at getting thrown in jail. It's like, yeah, you may have been president, even though I'm not happy you got president in the first place. It's more funny how Trump's legacy is going to be possibly one of the worst presidents ever, and not only getting impeached, but possibly getting jail time over doing something really stupid, like probably going down as one of the worst presidents in the history of the country at this rate. Find it really goddamn funny how bad it is. Let me see. Hold on a second. I fucking realized a little late that I'd forgot to light part of this up because, of course, fucking always end up missing part of this goddamn pattern while I'm walking if I'm not looking at the fucking screen. Lovely. Whatever. Where was I? Didn't look into it. I was on the internet for a week. Surprised you didn't hear about it anywhere, have any access to it. Then again, if you don't have any internet, I'm not super surprised, so it's not really a big deal. What they've been doing with, like, the whole PogChamp thing has been pretty interesting. Apparently they've been trying some new system on Twitch where they're trying a system with, like, swapping the PogChamp face, like, every 24 hours with, like, the one from a different streamer, or to, like, try something new for the emote. Basically, like, trying to take the heat off the situation, trying to make it less controversial since they had to remove the face of the old PogChamp. It's like, I can sort of see what they're doing. I don't know if I really prefer this system, but I don't really care too much. I'm trying to think here. There was something else I was meaning to bring up, and I don't remember what it was. It was big news, but it's fucking not something I can remember. Oh, right. I remember now. It was something I'd been thinking about for a bit, and I'm not gonna lie, not a big deal, but when we were talking about Monster Hunter, I got a little bit sidetracked and completely forgot about something I'd been meaning to bring up earlier. So, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, I was going to talk and say, like, how do you guys feel about, like, I think I brought this topic up, but we haven't gone, like, super in-depth with it before. How do you guys feel about, like, custom game modes in games, stuff like that? Also, like, let's say you play, I'm not sure, trying to think of an example, like Counter-Strike maybe, Team Fortress or whatever, those kind of things, and there's custom game modes that are made for those kind of games. They're like mods all the time. I used to be really, really big on playing through like those kind of games and playing certain game modes. I've got to say there's some really good ones out there, some I really enjoyed. One of my favorites that I used to enjoy when I was like really into FPS and played them a lot was that I remembered I would play a lot of gun game, and I remembered I would play, like, I think Counter-Strike Source or whatever for that, and I would go on, play, for anybody who doesn't know what gun game is, and good lord, if you haven't, then you must have, either you don't know anything about, like, FPS, or you've been living under a rock for, like, the past 10 years, but for anybody who doesn't know, like, the idea behind gun game is you go into a game, obviously an FPS or something like that, and you get one gun to start off with. I think it's a stronger gun, get a kill, and then it cycles to a new gun, and you do this with every gun in the game until you've successfully, like, gone through all the guns, and then you finally end up with a knife as your last weapon. You have to get a knife kill in order to win. It's a fairly fun little game mode and fairly popular. I think it was like started by Counter-Strike and put into a lot of other games because the concept and idea behind it is relatively good in my opinion and relatively enjoyable. I played a lot of gun game back in the day. I found it to be really fun. It was a good time, in my opinion. You guys mind if I take a second or two before I say, like, I meant to say I was going to go check something on the YouTube page, and I need to do this really quick. I was meaning to earlier, and I got sidetracked. I would have done this earlier, and I never remembered and checked this. I just wanted to look at one little thing. Give me a moment or two. It won't take too long, hopefully. Okay, just wanted to check a small thing, and I think we're good. Give me a second. Okay, where was I? We're talking about game modes. You guys ever played gun game? Not really a big deal. That was one that was fun. I remember I played a lot of custom game modes. I wanted to talk about this stuff for a while. Let's see, other game modes I can think of. There's a lot of fun ones. One that I remember that I played a lot of, and I don't know if this is super popular in games, I played Prop Hunt quite a bit, and from what I can understand, prop hunt isn't super common. I've seen it in a lot of games, but I don't know if a lot of games actually adopted it and a lot of people played it too much. I remember playing it quite a bit in TF2. The way it works is fairly self-explanatory, and if it's not something you understand, I can explain it really quickly. Prop hunt is where well, there's like a lot of props, like a lot of things around games, like how games normally have props, and one group of players plays the team and they're supposed to disguise themselves as props and hide around the map. The other team plays as like hunters and they have guns. They search around the map looking for things that look out of place, trying to kill the players disguised as props. Very self-explanatory, and I think the hunters lose health if they shoot at something and they don't actually hit a player, so you actually have incentive not to just sit there and spam your ammo and shoot everything, otherwise you end up dying. It's really, really fun. I played it quite a bit. Prop hunt is one of those game modes that I really, really enjoy. It also tests your ability to look around a map and then try to see the surroundings and try to figure out exactly what you can do for making yourself look like you're part of an environment and look natural without catching anybody's attention. I fucking love that about Prop Hunt. Prop Hunt gave me so much time from messing around playing it back in the day. The only thing I don't remember liking about it was when you had to study the bad prop and you couldn't fucking see where you were going. Hold on a second, I see there's another message. Let me see what's going on here. These articles that just stayed Nintendo at 375 fan-made games. Different websites on the internet? If this is a recent thing, then that's fucking extreme that they would suddenly just strike a whole bunch of fan-made games out of nowhere, just like this, out of the blue. I know their stance on fan games is they do not take kindly to fan games, but to strike a whole bunch of them at one time and to get angry at them all is kinda on the extreme side. God, I wish Nintendo had a better outlook on fan games. I don't remember them being this fucking anal about fan games before. Now they've really, really changed changed for the worse, and I don't like how they handle fan games now. I'd be much happier if they didn't kill any fan game that had work put into it. It's kind of sad, actually, but I've talked about the fan game thing a lot, so I don't know what else to say besides it sucks, and I hope these people can maybe do something like reskin their games or whatever and get them back up. It sucks Nintendo does this crap. I recall hearing about a change to Capcom's fan game policy, and sounds like they're going to be bring down the hammer on fan-made projects now, so I'm saddened that more companies are getting stricter on fan games. It sucks to see fan-made content being persecuted so harshly. It's just fans having love for a series, and the fact that it's getting their stuff taken down, it's actually really, really disheartening. I don't feel like these people deserve to have this kind of shit happening to them just for liking a series, but whatever. Nintendo's not going to change because we want them to. Nintendo's going to keep being themselves and doing something despite us hating it. Ugh. Makes me sad because there's a lot of cool-looking Nintendo fan games out there, and I played quite a few that I've enjoyed, but it hurts knowing the better ones get forcibly removed from the internet. Anyway, let's go back to the other subject I was discussing for a little bit. Let's see, how many others are there that I haven't mentioned in terms of big game modes that existed for, games that you guys know ever, anything in general that I haven't mentioned already. Prop Hunt and, Prop Hunt and Gun Game are two of the really, really big ones, and the ones that are really, really well known for custom game modes. I can think of a certain third well-known game mode that I am not in the mood to bring up just yet. It's not necessarily bad, but I would say it's not something I completely understand the appeal of, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I guess I got another thing that's decent to talk about. This kind of slightly moves away from, like, the custom game mode talk just a little bit, because it's not purely about custom game modes. Like, a lot of games have, like, zombie modes, and I know that, like, in a lot of games, that was in custom mode, too. People would, like, develop it in zombie mode. Do you guys like playing those kind of things in games? I'm actually curious to hear how you guys feel about this. Do you guys like playing... Well, I mean, I think you're talking about zombie games. Zombie games in general aren't bad. They're a little overdone. I enjoyed zombie game modes in a lot of games, and a lot of the ones I played are pretty good. Most of the time, it's like designed where one side is controlling the zombies and one's controlling the human players. Those are pretty fun. I like to play games that have just the human players a lot of the time, because usually playing as a zombie isn't a lot of fun, but there's definitely circumstances where they're really, really enjoyable. Like, I enjoy a good, well-designed zombie game that makes the way you play as a zombie really, really fun. I don't know if it's still popular. There was a really, really big one that I remember on Steam for Half-Life. I don't know if you need to actually have Half-Life 2 or whatever installed to play it. Let me see. I can probably look it up. There was a great zombie game that I remember playing that was a mod back in the day. Let's see. What's it called again? Zombie. It'll show up. Let me see. Maybe if I Google it. Give me a second or two. Yeah, there it is. I couldn't find it just looking, and I don't even know if it's still on Steam. It's called Zombie Panic Source. I remember it was a very, very popular thing, because it was like easy to find on Steam when you looked it up, and it was a big thing in the Source engine, a good Half-Life 2 mod. I remember I played that quite a bit. It had a really, really good, like, implementation of the zombies from Half-Life, and you wouldn't think it would be a big deal. I think it's, when it comes to zombie games, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I find that one thing that can really determine if a game that has zombies and you're playing as them is good is whether or not the zombies are actually unique and fun to play as. If you're playing as an ordinary zombie, then part of the game's appeal goes straight out the fucking window, and there's not really as much reason to play it. If you're playing a game that has more fun, more interesting zombies, and more cool stuff to see, it's usually a better time. Like, even though they weren't really designed for, like, multiplayer in mind, the zombies for Half-Life 2, and I guess even the ones in Half-Life 1 to an extent, have, like, really, really decent designs to them. Like, for Half-Life 2, for anybody who hasn't played it properly, you've got, like, I think 3, maybe 4 types of zombies. There's the poison zombie that they have, like, a bunch of head crabs on them. They toss them at you. One of them, like, they're all head crabs. They're supposed to poison you and, like, lower your health to 1 so that it's an easy kill, even though they can't kill you themselves very easy. There's another one that's really fast called Fast Zombies. They don't have any proper, like, ability other than they're fast and they attack quickly. Also, their scream is fucking horrifying the first few times you hear them, even though after a little while you'll get kind of desensitized to hearing it. But, like, there's those. Then there's the main zombies, who are pretty simplistic. And then you've got one other zombie type, I think, and it's a very interesting one that I don't think it's, like, completely like something that I've never seen in another game, but it's like the little cops in the game that are your enemy you're fighting. You can see those guys get infected, and the zombies that come from them will fucking pull out a grenade and fucking charge at you with the grenade. While it's live, you run into them. They're one of the more annoying ones and one of the more creepy ones, just because it's like, yeah, you see one of those, yeah, last thing you want is a fucking suicidal zombie charging at you, trying to blow itself up and you up with it with a grenade. It's like, ugh. This zombie game I was talking about on Steam, though, I think it, like, took all these and then added, like, several, like, extra types, like an invisible zombie and one that was, like, it's supposed to be able to, like, stealthily move around, and I think there's one for, I don't remember, there's a bunch of stuff. There was, like, some for trying to get around and move quicker. They had a variety of stuff they added to the game, and it all felt really, really good, and it made the game play better, in my opinion. I found it to be a very, very fun time. I find that zombie games in general are usually pretty good if you find, like, good zombie games to check out and not crappy ones. By the way, what's everyone's favorite zombie games? I'm curious to hear about, like, ones you guys enjoy the most. Whether it be doing PvE or actual, like, PvP zombie games. I don't hear about a lot of different games where they're zombie games and you're playing, like, player versus player, actually. Most of the ones I think I hear about are all humans fighting, like, AI-controlled zombies. Left 4 Dead's a good one for player versus enemy stuff, I'd say. Killing Floor has fun gameplay as well. Let's see, what else is there? I'm trying to think, are there any others that I played that I can think of that are, like, player versus as player? I know Left 4 Dead had versus modes. That was okay. I didn't really care about it too much. It wasn't a lot of fun from what I remember. It was okay. It was a decent time, but I didn't find it to be amazing. I'm trying to think here. Give me a second or two before we continue. I don't know if I remember that many that are like, yeah, you play it. Let's say, yeah, I don't know if I remember that many that you play as a zombie. Let me see what Google says. Give me a second. Just want to see what this says. Huh. Yeah, I actually don't see many results when I look it up. I'm not sure Call of Duty Zombies has, like, player versus player, or if it's purely player versus enemy. I guess there's not a lot of people who come into the market for zombie games and bother to play, like, games where there's a focus on and fighting other player-based, players that are controlling zombies, or just, like, other players in general. I thought that was a little bit of a bigger category than I had originally talked about, though. I thought more people were interested in that. Guess I was mistaken. Not really a big deal. I guess I can sort of see why, though. People don't want to have their controls dumbed down any, and playing as a zombie is not quite as fun as getting to be in the horde trying to test your survival skills to shoot the zombies down. Okay, I'm gonna go back to what I was talking about, custom game modes for a little bit. Also, is the chat okay? I don't know if YouTube's working or what. I don't know if things broke or if it's not fine or what. I'm surprised that things have gone, like, quiet all of a sudden. I'm trying to make some interesting conversation. I feel like I haven't really talked about this before, but if not interesting, that's okay too. Wanted to talk about whatever. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Anyway, whatever. Give me a second or two. So here's another thing that I was going to mention that I almost forgot about. They're called surf maps. It's very, very simplistic. You see them in quite a few videos. I think Leafy did this kind of stuff in some of his videos he made, which I didn't find to be very good. I don't think anybody really liked Leafy that much, but basically surf maps are fairly simple, and the kind of maps where you go around and you're literally, like, doing, like, surfing. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you go and you, like, kind of grind against the side of the level or whatever and use it to move across something. It's usually, like, props laid out in a way where it's like a thing where you're trying to move around a big open space and trying to get down to the bottom or whatever. It's an interesting idea. I think it qualifies as a game mode, but I cannot for the life of me understand why surf maps are popular. I don't think they're super popular, but I see some people play them fairly often, and I don't really get the appeal of them. I find that surf maps are kind of in my opinion. They're not terrible. They're not great. They could be a lot more than what they are, though. I don't know. Might just be me. I don't know. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Do you guys ever do anything like that? I think I found a few games where there were, like, emphasis on trying to pick up new skills and... Or not new games, but new game modes like this. Like, I remember another thing on... like a game mode on something where it was, like, basically had to go around doing bee hopping, which is... I can describe this really quickly. Bunny hopping, basically, it's a very simple term, and I think mostly for FPS, you go around jumping through a level, and the idea is you get, like, max sprint speed and jump, and I think you're supposed to, like, hold down shift and jump at the end of your jumps to, like, keep your speed from going down. Really, really simple concept. I've seen maps around this like I did the surf maps, and they weren't terrible. They weren't really great, in my opinion. I never really completely understood the point of, like, these little isolated maps where you do stuff like surf maps and, say, going around doing bee hopping and not really anything that you'd be using in the actual game. Because it's usually in, like, FPS you see this shit. Here's a quick question that ought to be interesting to discuss for a little bit. Maybe it won't be too interesting, but whatever. What's the most actual, like, useful, like, advanced technique you guys have seen in a game and had to, like, learn? Or not even had to learn, just, like, stuff you've seen that's useful that you can pick up on. I see a lot of people talk about, like, stuff like wave dashing and melee, and I have never had any urge to really go too far into learning, like, a lot of advanced Smash tech. I think I really only learned stuff like teching, like how you soften a blow and keep yourself from dying under certain circumstances, but I've never really bothered stuff like wave dashing or wobbling or all these other things that are commonly associated with Smash, especially melee. I don't know, Smash is alright. In fact, I think Smash is pretty great, but I cannot get into the technical side for the life of me. I don't feel like I play it enough to actually make it worthwhile to sit down and try to figure out how to use, like, all these techniques that I probably wouldn't get enough usage out of because I'm barely playing the game. So yeah, I don't think I would be spending my time wisely bothering. I don't know. I remember a lot of, like, these kind of techniques in different games that I saw over the years that were fairly common, although it's only certain games I remember, like, too much of. Give me a second and we can talk a little more on this. I wanted to check on a thing on Discord really quick, because I don't know if I ever finished what I said I was going to do earlier. Give me a second or two. Oh, I see I didn't link this like I was meaning to. Give me... Shit, I was meaning to fucking link the live stream, like, probably, like, half an hour ago, and I got fucking sidetracked. Just my luck that I wouldn't be paying attention. Wait a second. Before I say anything else, I hate to do this, but I'd have to ask really quick. Is chat okay and working? Because there have been no messages in some time. I can see where YouTube is showing viewers, but I don't see any activity in the chat room, so I have literally nothing to go off of to suggest the chat is actually working, whether or not it's chat being fine or if it's breaking and I can't tell. I guess I'll reload the page really quick and check if anything pops up. Fucking hate this about when YouTube and sometimes even Twitch, where fucking site just breaks down without fucking warning and then everything falls apart. Okay, where were we? We're talking about techniques and stuff, I guess, in games. I remember back in the day, like a thing in Mario Kart, namely in Mario Kart DS, I think I remember that a lot of people would fucking like brag about snaking in games. Hold on a second, just gotta fucking fix this. Okay, cool, chat's working, good. I'm not sure what you were replying to since I didn't see any of your messages for a while, but welcome back, Wayne, unless things were breaking, because I know YouTube's view count is a little bit glitchy. Okay, I think I got this link finally copied. But yeah, I remember back in the day, people would brag about fucking being able to do stuff like snaking in Mario Kart. It was like super common. You'd see it all the time when it came to fucking playing online. There'd be people who would come online in like Mario Kart DS, and I think even a Mario Kart Wii to an extent before they like fixed it where it wasn't very effective, and it'd be snaking, bragging about how skilled they were. If you couldn't use it, you'd get called like a scrub or whatever. It was rather annoying because it wasn't really proper skill in my opinion. It was more just fucking this stupid tech that got developed over or like a bug in the game and people exploit the fuck out of. I found that to be really irritating. Also, like, I remember a lot of stuff like this in like other Mario Kart games. I wouldn't say necessarily exploits, but like I remember in Mario Kart 8, like the original, not the deluxe version, somebody found something called fire hopping, and it got like really popular, and it was a way people could use to like lap everybody in the game and go incredibly fast. I remember that being like a common thing as well. Like these, some of the time seeing that kind of stuff's annoying, not always, but it's not very fun when you see somebody abusing a technique to like run circles around the rest of the track or whatever in a game like Mario Kart. Give me a second and I can check what your message says. I just need a moment. Probably have to get this done where I can go ahead and finish this pattern. There we go. I'm gonna do this, like, link my stream before I forget, even if nobody bothers to come and watch it. Yeah, there we go. That should be good. Game franchise that you're most knowledgeable about in terms of playing most games. So everything? That's a hard one. I mean, I don't actually know, like, what series that I've got the most know-how for. I play a lot of stuff, and even the ones that I do play a lot of, I wouldn't say I'm an expert at. If you had to ask me, like, any franchise that I probably know more trivia at than most people, and more stuff about, like, than your average person probably got a fair amount of knowledge about, would be Pikmin. There's not a series that I can think of that I can confidently say I know more about than the Pikmin series, because I remember I had a very, very interesting time with that series when I was a kid. I loved the series a lot, and I remember that I even wasted time doing stuff like reading the Piccolopedia when I was done beating Pikmin 2, so I ended up, like, learning a lot of things I wouldn't have learned otherwise. I got invested in the game and invested in the lore, and I remember checking out the webpage for the GameCube version that was really, really unique, very, very different. Unfortunately, it died off and isn't really dead, or yeah, it's dead now, and you can't really access it. It was really, really cool. Like, that was one thing I found really good. The guide had a lot of cool stuff in it, too, and there were a lot of things that I missed that I got to see and are no longer around. Let me see. Play for the first game. I'm not sure if you're asking me, like, for a recommendation, because I thought we talked about Pikmin before, and if you... I thought you said you'd played it, although maybe I'm wrong, unless you're saying this hypothetically, but I mean, that's a tough question for anybody. Like, when it comes to Pikmin, there's not exactly a very simple answer. I mean, If you want to go straight for chronological order, then yeah, start with the first game. If you don't give a shit about playing chronologically and just want to have a good time and enjoy yourself, and you're not willing to take any challenge or anything, then I'd direct you towards Pikmin 3 because it's a fairly good game and fairly easy to get into without too much struggle. Out of like all three Pikmin games, Pikmin 3 definitely doesn't challenge the player more than any of the other games in the series. As far as the game, I would say is the best in my opinion, and the one that holds up the the best and like gives me the most personal enjoyment, like one I play the most and like the most. I feel like Pikmin 2 is definitely the kind of game where that's the one that I would say is the best in the series. Pikmin 2 has best gameplay, a lot of cool new things it does, a lot of cool collectibles, more game time, more challenge, even though it's not hard in the bad way. It's there's no real time limit pressuring you in Pikmin 2 like there is in the other games. There's a lot of lore to learn, and there's like a lot of neat things you can learn about the series in general, and if you're anything like me, then playing Pikmin 2 for your first game in the series would not be a bad thing. If anything, it would probably boost your interest in checking out more of the series and get you more invested in checking out the rest of the series. So yeah, I would say Pikmin 2 is probably the game I can most easily recommend to somebody for the series, even though it's not as easy to get into now that there's no easy way to buy it, since your other option is to go and emulate it, or God forbid if you really want to, go out and buy like a Wii or a GameCube, but I wouldn't exactly recommend you do that just to play it. I mean, there's also Wii if you really wanted to play it through the eShop, I think, but I don't know if that's a good idea to bother buying a Wii U for that either. The only good thing about the Wii U is I think the Wii might actually have access to like all three of the games on it, so technically speaking, you could get your hands on the whole series if you wanted to play it on a system, and you could play eShop versions of both 1 and 2 and play 3 for physical or digital. Let me see. Williamson, hold that to the fan base. The Pikmin franchise, that's an interesting one when it comes to the discussion of like best Pikmin game. I think the community is fairly split on best Pikmin game. From what I've seen from the franchise actually in the fandom, I can safely say I think most people excuse me, my throat. Most people don't really regard Pikmin 1 as the best game in the series. There's definitely those few people who really love Pikmin 1 and think it's a great game and will defend it day and night and tell you it's the best game in the series. I don't think very many people in the series hold that opinion, though. I will gladly say I like Pikmin 1. It's a good game, and it's a very, very respectable game. I don't know where it even stands for me, because it's find that I very easily shift my opinion around quite a bit. But I will say I don't think Pikmin 1 is my favorite by any standard, and definitely that way for the rest of the fan base. I don't think enough people believe that. It's very interesting to look at the fan favorite when it comes to this matter, because I don't know if there's even a clear answer to this, actually. When I look at the Pikmin franchise, I see a lot of people who argue back and forth about Pikmin 2 and 3, and it seems like there's a near even split about the games where there are equal amounts of us who think Pikmin 2 is better and equal amounts of us who think Pikmin 3 is better, and I personally lean towards Pikmin 2 being my favorite in the series, I still like Pikmin 3. I don't even know if I completely hold Pikmin 3 up to the same standard as Pikmin 1 anymore. I'm not saying Pikmin 3 is bad, but I don't know. It feels like it's missing a little bit of something in a few areas. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a great game. Maybe I don't know how I feel when I compare Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 3, but like, there's something a little bit off that I can put my finger on a little more now when I play it that I didn't feel the same about when I played it originally, and I was absorbed in it because I wanted to experience another new Pikmin game after so much time, finally. Like, as far as Pikmin 3 is concerned, good game, but definitely not my favorite. I can see why people would like it, though. It's a good game. It's a fairly good sequel. It took fucking 9 years or something, wasn't it? Yeah, I think 9 years for us to finally get a sequel to Pikmin 2, so the fact people hold it in a sentimental value is completely understandable, and it's a fairly high-quality video game. Pikmin 2, in my opinion, just has more good shit in it. Pikmin 2's given me a ton of hours out of it. It's very easy to replay Pikmin 2, in my opinion. There's a lot of treasure to collect and a lot of enemies to see. The dialogue is pretty nice. The enemies are fun to see. Like, I find that I enjoy myself regardless of how many times I play it, because I feel like usually my playthroughs will vary a little bit in how I play them each time. Also, the Piclopedia in 2 is leagues above the Piclopedia in Pikmin 3, in my opinion. It's not like it's bad in 3, but I don't think 3's stands out as much as 2's does. 2 has a very, very well done Piclopedia, and it goes to show, like, there's a lot of effort put into it. I don't know, they had an opportunity to expand upon Pikmin 3, and they tried, but they ended up making it where it didn't feel like they put as much effort as they could into Pikmin 3 Deluxe. They put in a Piclopedia, which I feel like they could have done a little more with. They put in, like, a lot of entries, and they put up, like, ones for each character, but I don't know if that was, like, the best approach. There's only, like, 60-something pages, too, I think, and I think there were a lot more than that in Pikmin 2 than there were in Pikmin 3. Also, Pikmin 2 has enemies as well as, like, enemies as well as treasures, and then each entry in Pikmin 2 is fairly long and fairly, like, well thought out. You get a very, very good description that's pretty interesting to read with everything you look at, and I like that about Pikmin 2. Also, there's the matter that, like, there's a lot of good flavor text, in my opinion, that works well. Fucking, you get the sales pitches for the treasures, you get Almar's entries on everything, and then for the monsters, you get Louie's cooking notes, and when you, like, look it all up together and look at it all, like, there's a lot of cool stuff there, and there's some good lore, too. I don't know. I think that's all I really have to say about that right now, besides the fact that I think literally the entire fandom will, for the most part, agree with me that Hey Pikmin is a fucking disaster of a video game that should not have been made and does not add anything to the franchise. They probably should have took any dev time they used towards that spin-off and put it towards an actual new Pikmin game. That would have been the better choice, in my opinion. Ooh, okay, that probably went a little bit overboard on how much I was talking about Pikmin. My bad. I was going on about that subject for a while. Let's see. Give me a second. I'm thinking on what all I want to talk about. I've got a lot of things that are on my mind, though, so give me a second. Just 1 second or two. I'm curious. Let's see, just for a little bit. I think this is a topic I've been on stream for a little bit before, but I think it's a good one to revisit and talk about a little bit. Anybody like seen like the kind of ridiculous stuff that happens when you mess around with like Google Translate? Like you can see like somebody translate something from English to another language and then translate to several languages, and they translate it back to English and the message is fucking really garbled up. Or how in general Google Translate can sometimes give some really, really bad definitions. I was gonna say, like, I thought it'd be fun to talk about, like, really, really bad translations, whether it be in games or whatever. I find those are usually fun to talk about. Especially when it comes to, like, a game, whether it be bootleg or be some big game or anything where the company doesn't know what they're doing and they translate a game really poorly, and you can see all the fucking stupid shit that happens as a result of, like, really, really bad translation. There's something about seeing a really fucking terrible translation that makes it really fucking funny. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's just the way you, like, read all the broken English and seeing how bad it looks. It makes you laugh at it. I've seen quite a few things that are really good like this. Like, one of them is like actually, these are both Vinesauce things that I can think of right now. There was, like, one where this Vietnamese Pokemon Crystal hack, where it was, like, Google Translate messed up all the text. Like, it was, like, translated from Vietnamese into English or something, and it looked like it read like total dog shit because of that, but it was really funny to see all the text in it. And another one was like, there was an interesting one that I brought up where somebody went through the process of like taking the lines from Half-Life 1, fucking taking them and putting them into Google Translate. I don't remember what language they put them in, but they translated them to some language and they translated them back to English, and they somehow managed to like re-record the lines and put them in the game with like the Google Translate versions. And good lord, was the result so bad and so fucking stupid that it ended up being this fucking hilarious mod somebody made where you can hear how awful all these fucking characters sound like speaking in this fucking shitty, garbled up mess of terrible English. It's really fucking stupid, but it's also really fucking funny. I think you can find it if you look up Half-Life Google Translate. Let me see if I'm right about this. I'm gonna see if I can find it by a quick search, actually. And yep, it's up on one of the first results, actually, when you search it. That's fucking great. Fucking look up Half-Life Google Translate, and the first result is a ModDB page. Half-Life Google Translated edition. I love this about the internet. If you come up with a dumb enough idea and then talk about it online, you can ensure if you pitch your idea to the right person that it'll end up happening at some point. That's part of the beauty of the internet, is its stupid bullshit that has, like, literally no purpose existing on the internet can easily make its way on the internet. Oh gosh, I love seeing dumb bullshit like this. Oh gosh, give me a second or two. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm thinking on things I want to talk about. Just give me a second. I had something on my phone crop up that I was thinking about, like, taking a second or two to respond to, but I'm just gonna wait because I'm nearly done with the stream anyway. Hold on a second. My tongue right now is bothering me. Ugh, I hate that feeling. Anyway, so where was I? Fuck. I guess I can just check, like, is chat alright? Because I hate to bother, but I mean, like I said, I don't have any way to know if the chat doesn't have any messages, just to verify. Let's see here. Oh, here will be something that's okay for a little bit that might be good. So, this is a slightly differing subject than anything I can think of that I brought up. Something that'll be hopefully a decent topic for a little bit. You guys ever do anything like decorating, whether it be from inside your house, apartment, or whatever kind of decorating. Like, it doesn't have to be your house or apartment, but anything. I don't think I really decorate my apartment any. I don't think I would want to. I don't know if I even can on the outside, at least. I never bothered to try and put anything like flashy or anything up in my apartment. I don't have any people really over, so I never really cared to, and I never really bothered with it. I try to make my stuff look relatively decent. I know a lot of people will put up Christmas lights every year, so that's one thing for decorating. Like, people put up Christmas lights or Halloween decorations or whatever. I don't think we ever did any of that since we lived out in the country, and also I, in general, don't remember us ever decorating for anything my grandparents did. I'm trying to think, actually, if we ever did anything, like, special. As far as I can think of, with, like, isn't even decorating. I remember we would get, like, firecrackers and shit for, like, July the 4th and pop those. I remember we'd do that every year. That was one thing I remember. That's not really decorating like I'm talking about. I like doing stuff like where maybe, like, sometimes, like, if I want to go out, yeah, I'd pick and dress it's nice with, like, the right time or whatever. Sometimes I'll just dress up anyway, or it's like that time, maybe even with your pet, you could even do, like, a kind of special little collar or whatever for your dog. I don't know, I don't really get into decorating enough. That'd be another thing that's fun to talk about, like, good decorating and, like, stuff you guys think that's really, really cool in terms of decorations. Actually, yeah, I might want to get into that at some point and, like, learn a little bit of it, because I'd like to get into cooking more, and I've been making an effort to, and I got some pretty decent stuff to cook recently. I've been wanting to bake a cake for myself, and trying to think if I want to bother to do anything like decorating that any. I don't know if I would care to, maybe specific icing, but as far as I can think, I mean, what I would even put on it, I guess, maybe, like, strawberries and stuff. You could put candles to the birthday cake, but I can't think of, like, a lot that would be worth adding, but maybe sprinkles, I guess, depending. I never really cared for sprinkles on too many things. They're alright. They're not amazing. Sprinkles are kind of just, like, little extra added sugar, so I feel like sprinkles don't really bring a lot for food, especially dessert. Well, I mean, they do dessert, I guess, more than anything. You wouldn't want to add sprinkles to just anything. They probably wouldn't taste good on just anything, but yeah, I don't know. How do you guys feel about sprinkles, actually? I know it's a pretty common thing on ice cream sometimes, is like they add sprinkles to the ice cream. I don't think like I said, I don't think there's anything more sprinkles than you get, like, a little bit of extra sugar on your stuff, and that's it. And outside of that, I don't think there's a purpose to sprinkles. I know they also get added to donuts. I don't use them very often. I don't care about them, to be frank. What's your guys' favorite pastry, if we haven't already talked about this subject any? Donuts are really, really good, in my opinion. I'm not sure if they're my favorite. Cake is obviously really, really good. I don't know if cookies qualify. Cookies are fucking awesome. Let's see. What are some big ones? Pie's good, too. I don't talk about pie very much. I enjoy a good, well-done pie, though. I'm not going to get on the subject too long, because I didn't actually intend to go into a long discussion about desserts and stuff like sprinkles and pie or whatever and that kind of thing. Like, I felt like that was a little bit of getting sidetracked. Give me a second or two and we'll change the subject. Alright, here's another thing that relates to what I talked about earlier. It's not something you guys have to talk about unless you want to. Just another topic for right now. How do you guys feel about doing, like, farm work? Do you guys ever done any farm work, or do you guys like it? Have you not had any experience with it? I'm actually curious to hear if people here have actually been able to relate to what it's like. I've done it before because I grew up living on a farm and had to do it because my parents made me, and I didn't really enjoy it. I've done a lot of things that most people probably have never had experience with because of the fact I've lived on a farm so long. Like, I had to help with trying to put up a fence, which that was rough. All the times they've done it, it's never been fun. I remember let's see, fence is one thing. I've had to water plants. That's never too fun. Feeding animals can be a lot worse than most people would realize. You might not think it's bad, but feeding animals can actually be really tough depending on the type of animal you've got. Sometimes it's not that big of a deal. I think it really is. Like, I don't think we've had like a lot of pigs before. We've had pigs. We haven't had them like all separate. I think they're usually like pinned apart, so they're okay, but they get a little rowdy sometimes trying to feed them, so they're not the easiest to work around at some points. Goats are crazy when you come to feed them, at least when it comes to like big numbers. I've dealt with them for some time when we got them, and I've got to say, goats don't fucking understand the idea of space and not trampling the person who's trying to feed them. Like, I've had to deal with feeding them before, and it is absolutely miserable and not a fun time to put up with. They will fucking charge you and try to knock shit out of your hands. I've had this happen multiple times with goats, and that to basically outspeed them to like a feeding trough and pour the feed before they reach the trough first. It's absolutely fucking annoying to put up with. Hi there, welcome to the stream. I am not soft resetting though. I'm doing the runaway method, and unfortunately it's not been going so smoothly. I've been doing this for quite some time, as you can see by the title. Also, in general, I've been doing this longer than that because I haven't been playing more than that, but I've been like doing this on and off for like 11 days, and it's been miserable. Not been a very, very particularly great shiny hunt, and I think I'm on the worse end right now because I've been seeing people who've got like under 2,000 for a shiny Regice. I'm having bad luck. Ugh, whatever though. I hope this ends soon. I'm not actually sure which method is faster, to be honest. I think I've seen a thing about like shiny hunting here where people do like soft resetting or runaway encounters, and they timed it, and they're both like really similar in how much speed they put up for like how fast you can get your stuff done. It's not really one faster than the other. Okay, I mean, whatever. If it's not obvious and easy enough to see right now, I'm very clearly streaming this, and it was the fact that I'm streaming, then I can't be playing every hour of the day to get shiny hunting in. It's a lot easier to get 1,000 encounters when you're, well, maybe not that easy, but it's easier to get a lot of encounters in when you're playing in your spare time than streaming. Streaming, there's the expectation that you're going to be entertaining and talking practically the whole time you're playing, so you have to be focused and to expend a lot of energy, and as a result, I can usually only expend up to like 200 encounters per day every time I play, unless I really set aside a lot of time and really prepared and go for a lot of encounters. I can't do 1,000 in a day like that when I'm doing this. It's just not possible. I get too tired after doing 200 usually. And yeah, I have a shiny charm, but I'm not even sure if the shiny charm works, to be honest. I don't know, actually. I mean, technically both the Regis I've done so far, well, I say both, only been one that I've got as shiny. This is the second one I started, but both of them have been fucking over odds and have not gone great. This one has gone a lot worse than the first one I did, which is Regice. It was not that bad. It wasn't great either, since it went up until nearly 2,500, and this one's looking to be 3,000. Oh my god, I just want this to be over with. I hope this ends. This is one of the ones that I was dreading dealing with, and to be frank, it's one of the worst shiny hunts out of the whole group, considering the fact that this is probably the worst Reggie shiny, bar none. I can't even easily tell the color difference. Like, I can sort of see it if I look at it, but it's a bad shiny, and I'm only doing it for the sake of the set, and I feel like I'm going to be relieved when this is over with. Hunt something where I can actually see the color for once. That'll be a huge relief. I'm looking forward to going after Regirock. Ugh. I've got to say, it's definitely different from the Dynamax Adventures. Not that that's a bad thing, but like, Dynamax Adventures are fairly easy to shiny hunt in, and feels like you don't have to fight for your target as much. Ugh. Also, I'm like getting a little bit tired. I can feel my fucking, not even my, as I say my voice, that's not accurate though, but I feel like in general I'm feeling the fatigue from playing so long, and my stomach's starting to ache too. That doesn't help any. I've been having a kind of rough day, so ugh. I was gonna stop early either way. Okay, after this encounter, I'm gonna call it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream at least though, and it's been fun to hang out and watch. I really have had a good time and been enjoying talking with you guys, even if it's not been the best stream, so it was a decent time. Thanks for dropping by. Okay, looks like we don't get a shiny today, unfortunately. Whatever. I'm pretty much ready to stop it, right? Set the pattern up again. Any second now. Okay, good. Oh, fuck. I can feel my head feeling a little bit heavy, too. I think I'm probably sleepy from not sleeping as much as I intended to yesterday. Okay, I will make sure I'm going to double save, but that's going to be our stopping point tonight, and I'm going to come back and do more tomorrow, and it'll be another 150 encounters to get to 3,000. Then after that, I'll do another 200 if we don't get it. Hopefully this crap ends by tomorrow, but I'm not anticipating it. I don't know. We're over double shiny odds at this point, so hopefully. Anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow with more Pokemon. Try to get this miserable shiny hunt over. Hope you guys have a great day or night. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.